So if you're taking a picture next to a window, just be careful of like the reflections that show, because that's what I look for sometimes. Like, oh, I can see this place is next to a sessile, so let me see what sessles they are, and then I'll look at the rest of your page and see if you're in Johannesburg. If most of your pictures are most of your pictures are in Johannesburg, then I'll say, okay, this place is probably in Johannesburg because you take a lot of pictures in Johannesburg. And then I'll see like a sessile in the window, and then I'm like, oh, let me see if there's a Cecil in Johannesburg. And that's how I narrow down, like, yeah. So, guys, be careful and never post a picture while you're still at the place. It's not safe. Don't post outside the Airbnb. It's a lot harder to find the Airbnb when all that I can see is what's inside, because that's not public information. That's not something that I can find like on Google. But if it's outside, if it's the building, I can probably find that. This one Airbnb, it took me, I think, 2.5 months before I found it, because I only saw the inside, but I found it. I stayed on Airbnb every day. I would go through Airbnb, checking Cape Town Airbnbs one by one.
It started out as a hobby for Sharon, something she enjoyed and found she was good at.
And knowing that you're right, when it finally clicks, I'm like, oh, yes! It like gives me this adrenaline rush. It's so much fun. It's so much fun. It's something that I didn't expect to take off the way it has, but it's something that's really close to my heart, because I feel like I'm actually making an impact and helping people.
Thanks to social media platforms like Instagram, Sharon and other young creatives have been able to bypass the hierarchies in traditional media and entertainment and craft their own careers working with brands they love. Social media influencing can be extremely lucrative. It's also extremely competitive. When Sharon reached the point of burnout, trying to feed the algorithm's insatiable demand for content, she decided to switch gears and become part of the solution.
Welcome to Golden City. I'm your host, Zanele MG, and I love a good story. This podcast is a collection of the greatest stories I've ever heard about the city of gold, Johannesburg, South Africa. In each episode, you'll meet a different Joburger who will tell you their own true stories in their own words. All the ups and downs, adventures, lessons, wins and losses that make life in Joburg truly interesting. This concrete jungle may not have mountains or beaches to compete with the natural beauty of other South African cities, but the diverse and amazing people who call Johannesburg home make this golden city shine bright. What a story. How do you feel about that? Tell me more.
Did you guys know that an estimated 50% of all the gold ever mined in the world came from right here in the Witwatersrand? Johannesburg, the city of gold, came to be during the largest gold rush in history. In this city, the home to Africa's richest mile, money talks.
Perceptionism is a huge thing in Joburg. Like, I will respect you based on how I perceive you. So if I perceive you to have a lot, I'll give you a lot of respect. But if I perceive you not to have as much as I do, then, because a lot of conversation in Joburg starts with, hi, how are you? Oh, what do you do? I feel like that's like a ranking conversation.
Another world where perception is everything, Instagram. Sharon learned all about this when she became an Instagram influencer in 2020.
I wanted to become a model, so I decided to take pictures of myself. So I started doing self-portrait photography. And I wasn't really loving how also it wasn't conducive for me to take pictures of myself on my camera, because I couldn't really see how I'm posing and stuff like that, because you have to be behind the camera and in front of the camera at the same time. So then that's when I started using my phone. And most of my content creation has been me shooting myself on my phone. When I started learning how to edit, then I would start playing around with a lot of graphics and stuff like that, which just elevated me just taking. So a lot of people, when they ask me like, oh, how did you take that photo? I'm like, on my phone. They're like, no way. I would be able to change the background and like Photoshop myself somewhere else and like, just add different elements into, because I have this like really big white wall. So it's kind of like a green screen for me. I created this magazine called Color Magazine. It's not an actual magazine, I just created the magazine cover. So it's a picture of me with a white background, with the white wall, and like fruits and vegetables on the table. And I've got like really loud pink or orange lipstick, and I'm wearing like a bright pink blazer. I love that photo. Like, it's so colorful, but it's also so like, it's rich. Being a self portrait photographer really shaped like how I see it helped me a lot with my self confidence, because growing up as a dark skinned girl, ooh, chair, it was tough. Bullying. Growing up in a society where the standard of beauty is light skin, it was tough to feel beautiful, like in high school, knowing that the girls that get attention are light skinned. There was a time when I tried to bleach my skin also. Yeah, in high school. I'm glad it didn't work though. But yeah, it was that deep. It was that severe that I felt like I'm not gonna be beautiful if I'm dark. Taking pictures, self-portrait photography really helped me see myself in a different light. It helped me see myself um in a through a beautiful lens. During lockdown, during like hard lockdown, I think that's when my influencer journey really, really picked up, because um a lot of people were at home, so a lot of people were on their phones. So I gained a lot of followers during that period, and then brands started reaching out because they were seeing the kind. And also, a lot of influencers prior to lockdown had to rely on photographers to take their pictures. So a lot of people weren't creating content because they didn't know how. But because I had been creating content in my bedroom for years, I was already like, So yeah, that's how it started. And then I did a lot of brand work in the year 2020, and then I burnt out. And then I stopped.
Social media influencers are paid to market products and services to their online audiences. From what we see on the outside, the job seems pretty cushy. Events, sponsored trips, free stuff.
I mean, the free stuff is really nice. Won't lie, very enjoyable. But it's not an easy thing. I think because there are different tiers to influencing, when you are coming up, when you're like a micro influencer, it's a lot of work to get people to notice you, because there's so many people trying to do this thing as well. And then there are mega influencers who, your Mihlalis, your Lukuzwayos, they don't have to post as often because they've already made it to that level where they're a household name. But when you're trying to come up as a micro influencer, it's not as easy as people make it seem. It's really not. It's a lot of work, because Instagram, if you stop posting for like, because also you're fighting with the algorithm. If you stop posting for like 3 days, you just go to the bottom. So I wanted to post on Instagram every second day. So I felt a lot of pressure to keep creating content, and the kind of content that I wanted to put. I didn't want to just post a pretty picture. I wanted to post edited work that has some sort of hold, that would make people ask questions and stuff like that. So, and I would create sets for myself as well that took a lot of time, and editing my makeup and my background afterwards took a lot of time. It all, I feel like I'm the one who put the pressure on myself to post every second day, but it's because I understood that if I didn't, I would fall off. Before the brand comes, I already have a content plan for the month or for whatever the next few weeks. So now I have to slot their content in to whatever content plan I already have. So I need to now reshuffle things. But I was the one who always put pressure on myself to make sure that I post every second day so that the algorithm loves me. I tried to fight it for a while, and then eventually, like, my body was like, girl, my mind actually was like, girl, sit down. I had zero ideas. I had no more ideas.
Lockdown had lifted, and other influencers were back outside creating content in beautiful venues. Perhaps a change of scenery could spark Sharon's creativity again.
I started seeing other influencers taking photos at other places, right? So they would be taking photos, and I'm like, this is a really nice aesthetic. Like, this would really go well with my Instagram. I love this. Where is this place? And then I would go through the comments because I'm very shy, so I don't like to bother people by asking questions. So I would just like try and find it through the comments. Like, let's see if somebody else asked the question, because I'm sure somebody else has asked the question, and I wouldn't find it. So then I'll be like, okay, let me ask. I'll ask and then either not get a reply, or sometimes some people are nice and they'll answer, but sometimes people are like, oh, I can't remember. Oh, someplace in Joburg, answers like that. And I was like, this is getting tiring. So I need to start finding out where these places are. Location is gold, is key, So you're always looking for really nice aesthetic places to take pictures. You're looking for places that are popular but not too popular. You're looking for hidden gems. You're looking for just places that make you look good, or whatever you're promoting look good. So if you're a fashion influencer, you need to find a place that's going to make the outfit look good. If you're a lifestyle influencer, you need to find a place that's going to fit into the type of lifestyle that you're influencing. They're very important. And also, you can't keep taking the like photos in the same place. That's also another thing. Like, I think a lot of us pressure ourselves because we think that our audience wants to see different places, which might be true, but I think a lot of the pressure comes from us that I don't want to be seen taking pictures in this place like all the time. So you want to switch it up a bit. So location is very important.
Every business has its trade secrets, its closely guarded competitive edge over the others. But for influencers, it's a tricky balance to strike between keeping some things for themselves and keeping their audience close. Not tagging a location, a designer, or a brand is known as gatekeeping.
Nobody wants to admit that they're a gatekeeper. So it's the norm. It's like an open secret type of thing, because nobody ever says I am a gatekeeper. Nobody wants to point out the gatekeepers, but we all know that they're there and they exist. Or maybe people aren't aware that they're gatekeeping, because I mean, in what I do specifically, gatekeeping and safety can be, it's a very thin line between that. So yeah. But yeah, there definitely are gatekeepers in the influencer community. Gatekeepers for locations, gatekeepers for clothes, like outfits. If you're not getting paid, I'm not telling you. That's how it is. That's basically the motto. If I'm not getting paid to tell you, I'm not going to tell you where it is or what it is. What really tipped off like me actually creating videos about it was I saw one creator went to a place called, forgot the name of the place now, but it's a cafe. It's a bubble tea cafe in Joburg. And then they went there, and then in the comments somebody asked, where is this place? And then another person also, I think I saw 3 comments under that person's post. And then to the last comment, they're like, check your DMs. And I'm like, why are you telling people in the DMs? We also want to know where this place is. And so that's what actually started me taking. That was my first like location find. That was what tipped off or triggered the. A lot of people actually want to know this information. So let me share it because I know how to find it now.
Using Google and her keen eye for background details, Sharon began finding these places for herself. She shares her findings on TikTok, where informative, entertaining content often outperforms pretty aesthetics.
Instagram is very. It feels far away. It feels like arm's length, but where TikTok feels like I'm actually letting you in. So TikTok is more home, it's more friendly, it's more community. And Instagram is more like you're there, I'm here type of thing. I feel like on Instagram, everything is so curated and so perfect and so fake.
Of course, a single frame can be manipulated to tell any story, which is also an opportunity for creativity. For instance, there was this wall that Sharon kept seeing on Instagram. It looked like part of a chic loft apartment somewhere downtown.
Because I used to see this one influencer post that wall all the time. Like she's like a designer, so she would go there in like her different outfits and post. At some point, I thought it was an apartment building. I thought that's where she lived because I'm like, I've never seen this place anywhere. You know,
It's actually at a small shopping center opposite a grocery store.
the wall at Kyalami Corner. Wow. Wow. Influencers, you guys have a really good eye because that wall, when you walk past it, you're just like, it's just a, because it's this big, but they make it seem like it's this. I don't know. That was, for me, that was the most surprising. Like when I actually saw it, I was like, oh my gosh, this wall is actually not what I thought it was, but it looks so beautiful on pictures, you know? So yeah.
Then there are the straight up fakers.
Influencer culture is like flex culture. So a lot of people already, I mean, we hear these things and we don't think it's a real thing, but it's a real thing. People rent cars to take pictures. People like rent clothes and bags to go take pictures. It's a real thing, you know?
You know of it.
I know of it. Not the girls, the guys. I know of it.
The men do that.
Yes.
They rent the cars.
Yes. Not the men influence, but okay. I feel like
The rich men that these women are dating.
no. Those men are not on social media.
I know. I'm like, who's cars
The
are
men,
rented?
the men, as in the Instagram scammers we know.
Ah.
Mm,
The men who aren't influencers but who are known for being rich.
yes, the men who don't want to present themselves as influencers but are influencers or trying, like, they don't want to say I'm an influencer, but they're trying to live the influencer life to get you to buy something from them. Does that make sense?
Eventually, I catch up. Forex.
Yes, exactly. Those people. Yeah.
So called Forex traders, social media personalities who show off lavish lifestyles, homes, and cars to convince people to buy Forex trading courses from them or even hand over their money to be traded on their behalf.
Actually, somebody has asked me to find a Forex guy's. It looks like his home. Yeah. I'm hoping that it really is his home because this is a very popular Forex person. That's all I can say. I'm really hoping it's his home. So they sent me a picture of the guy's home where he was standing. And they were like, hey, can you please help me find this place? I was like, I know that you can see that this is a house. So you might think what I'm thinking, you know? So yeah. It's very sad. A lot of people have lost a lot of money trusting people who they think are living a successful life, but actually aren't. It's all rented, it's fake. Even if you don't say it's yours, because you're taking a picture next to it, we assume that it's yours. Because we trust people and we don't think people are going to lie to us, but they are lying.
At the end of the day,
They are lying. Yeah.
it may take a little bit more time and effort for Sharon to track down the palatial private homes that influencers stay at when they travel, but those are also usually the videos that go viral.
If somebody asks me to find an Airbnb, I know you're probably not at an Airbnb by yourself. So you're with your friends. If you didn't post where the place is, one of your friends probably did. If they didn't post where the place is, they probably took a video of the surrounding areas. If you didn't, they probably did. So that's usually how I find the Airbnbs, through your friends.
One influencer's pictures of a spectacular Camps Bay property with incredible sea views kept her followers guessing in the comments for weeks. 2 months later, Sharon popped up with the exact Airbnb listing, and her video now has almost 2 million views.
So let me tell you how I found that Airbnb. I thought it was going to be a 1-2 quick thing. It's by the beach. I can see the sea, just beach view Airbnb in Google quickly. I didn't find anything. Okay, cool. Then I went through her stories. And I was like, okay, I can see her posting. Okay. Took a few screenshots for reference when I compared to see if it's the place. I'm not finding anything. Then I saw she went there with friends. I'm like, okay, let me go on their page. They're private. I'm like, oh my gosh, you guys are doing all the right things. I'm happy for you, but it's not good for me, you know? So then, cool. One of her friends wasn't private. So I went on her page, found a few pictures, but they're not giving me anything, you know? So I'm like, okay, cool. I'm gonna go search Airbnb, just go through Western Cape, right? Then I went to filter it to beach view Airbnbs. So now I'm not finding anything. She posted a video of her at the Airbnb on TikTok. And then obviously people were asking where this is. She didn't answer. And then oh no, one person asked where this is, and she's like, oh, it's an Airbnb in what is the place, the area? Uh I can't remember the exact name, but I think let's just say she said Duncan Street. So she gave the street name that one of my friends booked for their birthday. I'm like, okay, cool. Search the street name on Airbnb. Still didn't find it. Then I'm like, okay, cool. I'm gonna go on Google and search the street name and beach view. And then I found another website that had the place listed. And then I searched that listing on Airbnb, and that's how I found it. Two and a half months later.
If this sounds a little unsettling, pay attention to your social media habits and what you unknowingly share online.
Internet safety is so important, and people take it for granted, like how much information you're giving away on the internet. And because I find things on a daily basis, I see so many things that like I pick up on so many things that people do where I'm like, this is not safe. But I really can't emphasize enough, guys, be careful of what you post on social media. Like we give away a lot of information without realizing how much we're actually giving away. Definitely. Yeah. Which is why I always say never post a place if you're still there. Always post after you leave the place, even if it's an Airbnb. I know it can be tempting to like want to post stories and stuff like that, but you never know who's watching you.
Do you? I mean, the people who follow you and who ask you for these places are not all influencers, obviously. So, what do you think the appeal is? What do you think they're interested in?
When you Google places to go eat in Joburg, you don't find like the nice stuff. You know, you find the paid stuff that are on websites that were paid to be there. And some of the times you'll find the same stuff. You won't find like, you know, interesting new stuff. So I think that's also why people come to me, because there's a lot of places that I've found that haven't been found by other people. Not everybody wants to influence, but everybody is always looking for somewhere to go eat. I've also got like requests that aren't necessarily please find this place for me, but a lot of people come to me for recommendations. Like I want to throw a sweet 16. I'm looking for a place like this. Do you know any places? I want to throw a birthday lunch. I'm looking for like a rooftop aesthetic. Do you know any places like that? So a lot of people also come to me for recommendations. I had a guy hit me up once. He was planning a trip, like a traveler's trip to Cape Town. And he's like, do you know, because I do activities as well. I post activities, locations, and now events. So he was like, do you know anything? Like, I want to put together an itinerary. Can you help? So people also come to me for that. So I don't check my message requests every day because it can get very overwhelming very quickly. The demand is hectic. Doing this has really shown me how beautiful South Africa really is. Like, we don't see how beautiful this country is and how many beautiful gems this country actually has. Like there's so many beautiful restaurants, there's so many beautiful Airbnbs, they're pricey though. Very expensive. They're very expensive, but we live in a very beautiful country. And before you want to go explore the world, explore South Africa, because I can bet a lot of us don't know everything that South Africa has to offer.
And does Sharon ever think about returning to the world of influencing, armed with the ultimate database of picturesque locations?
Mm, 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 I, no. I think I really enjoy where I am now, and I enjoy the community that I've built on TikTok. The people that follow me are lovely. Like it's such a positive space. It's such a fun space. I really enjoy being in that community. So I think that's if we're obviously growing. We're growing every day. So would love to see us grow and grow and grow. But I never want to lose that authenticity of like why I actually started in the first place, and turn it into like, yeah, I'm just selling to you guys now. I'm just putting this place out now because this place out, like this venue asked me to or whatever. I want to maintain that authenticity of like, I'm actually doing this because you asked me to, and I'm able to help you because I know how to, you know? Yeah. So I think my influencer coat is up. I really want to go back into modeling though.
I guess when you choose to step in front of the camera, the pressure, the competition, the comparison, it just comes with the job.
It's a tough industry to break into. Yeah. So especially when you I feel like when you look I feel like I look like your normal everyday girl, you know? I don't have like special features that like make you stand out. I'm not too dark, but I'm not too light. You know, it's that whole yeah, so it's tough to break into an industry where you look like everyone else, if that makes sense. I don't want to get back into the rat race of like feeling like I need to constantly post and stuff, but I love taking pictures.
Thanks to social media, creative people of all kinds, people the world might have never otherwise heard from, have been able to create their own platforms and change their lives. But the lucrative industry that continues to grow around social media personalities is far from an egalitarian ideal.
Colorism, texturism, and I don't know what you call the body size one, but like me being skinnier than you makes me think I'm better than you. That whole thing,
Like fat phobia.
fat phobia, yeah, it's a real thing amongst the influencer culture because you can dress well and have like a really good fashion sense, but somebody whose face appeals to the standard of beauty more than yours does could get a fashion gig that you deserve because they are more pretty, or they're lighter, or they've got a softer hair texture. I don't know how they as in society or whatever, whoever invented these standards of beauty, get black women to pin each other against each other. I don't know how that keeps happening, but it keeps happening.
Follow Sharon on TikTok at Sharon Munyai1 and Instagram at Sharon Munyai. You can also follow me, ZanelMG, on TikTok and Instagram. Thank you for visiting Golden City. If you liked this episode, like, follow, subscribe on all social media and streaming platforms. If you love this podcast, give us 5 stars. I'd love to feature you on Golden City. To submit your story, go to www.goldencitypodcast.co.za. See you next time.